I grew up obsessed with Dragon Ball Z, and when people in DBZ were not in the middle of fighting enemies, you could guarantee they were probably training for their next fight. Training arcs are important because they offer a chance to take a breath from the direct action and focus in on characters, a chance to watch their progression, to see them overcome adversity, and evolve to a higher state. I've always loved training in a shonen story. Whether it's Goku training with his multitude of teachers throughout all of the Dragon Ball franchise, Team 7 training with Kakashi and Naruto, the 2 years of training for the Straw Hat Pirates in One Piece, or Yusuke Urameshi training with Genkai in Yu Yu Hakusho. But this brief part of Bleach might be one of my favorite training arcs that I've ever gotten to see. It's short, it's to the point, it's visceral and impactful, but a big contributing factor is also that the mentor figure is perfect for this. I'm of course talking about Urahara. I've been fascinated by this guy from his very first panel. First off, he has great design that just oozes with a nonchalant, carefree, and somewhat eccentric personality. It's so different from most of the characters we've seen so far and super memorable. Then there's his occupation as a dealer in strange supernatural items, and his inside information about the Soul Society. He's an intriguing character to say the least. Urahara spends the first 50 or so chapters of Bleach coming in and out of the story, and only for brief periods at a time. He's not part of the cast that we typically follow, instead popping up as a side character, and usually only when he's needed. Whether it's his introductory story when he has to deal with some defective merchandise, or something as brief and essential as being someone that can knock Ichigo's spirit into Soul Reaper form when Rukia is otherwise occupied. Above all else, even with how cool he inherently is, Urahara is mysterious, a character on the outskirts of being a real part of the cast. But he becomes something much more when he finds Ichigo beaten and wounded, nurses him back to health, and offers to train him and restore the power he's lost. From that point on, the way the reader perceives him is slightly altered. He's a teacher now, and a very interesting one. Mentors are a staple of fantasy storytelling. There's so many great ones, and sometimes the teachers turn out to be more interesting than the students. I'm looking at you, Kakashi. I love you. But this isn't just about Ichigo getting stronger, though. This is about recovering something he'd lost, and maybe discovering something even greater as a result. Urahara says that there'll be 3 tests, 3 lessons, and these aren't like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi saying there's going to be 3 lessons when there's actually only 2 that we see. No, there are absolutely 3, and all 3 test Ichigo in different ways. The first trial is about restoring Ichigo's spiritual power, making sure that his astral body is even more efficient than his physical one. To do so, Ichigo has to fight one of Urahara's employees, the little girl Aru. Initially, Urahara says that Ichigo will have to knock her out to complete the test. While Ichigo isn't exactly thrilled to have to knock out a kid, he quickly realizes that she's a lot more powerful than he expected. The twist of the lesson is that Urahara knows it's not possible for Ichigo to win the fight in his current state, but unknown to Ichigo, who is desperately fighting for his life against this little girl, as long as he can actually land a hit, he'll pass the test. It's a fun test to watch, while also making the reader both curious and absolutely horrified by what else that little girl is capable of. She seemed ready to kill Ichigo if her boss hadn't intervened. The second test begins when Ichigo's chain of fate is severed, meaning that he can't go back to his body. For most, this would mean becoming a hollow, with the only way to avoid that being that he has to become a Soul Reaper instead. Urahara has him restrained and dropped into a deep hole that will accelerate the corrosion of his severed chain, giving him only 3 days to somehow escape, or else he'll turn into a hollow and they will have to kill him. My favorite part of this test is the visual of his chain of fate starting to devour itself, closing in on him slowly. They call this the encroachment, and it's absolute nightmare fuel. The chain link becoming those ravenous mouths is horrifying, and probably what I'll remember most about this whole section years from now. Another little great lore drop is when Ichigo's asked if he's hungry, because if a soul starts to feel hunger, it means that it'll soon become a hollow. It's a wonderful little detail that makes sense with everything we've already learned, but also being thirsty is apparently fine. I love that little bit of info. After the 72 hours are up though, and the chain of fate fully devours itself, that's when Ichigo's hollow mask starts to form. We've seen hollows with their masks before, but to see it actually forming on the main character's face is pretty intense. But just when it seems like Ichigo's about to become a hollow, something really weird happens. He's suddenly sitting on the side of a skyscraper and a strange figure speaks to him. We come to realize that this is the spirit of Ichigo's sword, his Zanpakuto. Ichigo's fight with Renji introduced us to the concept of the importance of Zanpakuto names, so it's nice to be delving further into that. I love the touch that he says his own name and Ichigo isn't ready to hear it yet. The importance of that is paramount, as Ichigo desperately tries to get a hold of the hilt of his broken sword. The whole sequence is honestly pretty surreal, and I love how ethereal it all is. Is this cityscape just within his mind? I assume so, but I can't wait to learn more. We also learn that these lessons aren't just restoring the powers Rukia gave him, but are awakening his own Soul Reaper powers within. That's interesting that he already seemed to have the capability of becoming a Soul Reaper. Does this mean everyone has this innate, latent potential, or is this special to Ichigo? The only thing I can think of, honestly, is his experience coming close into contact with the Grand Fisher as a kid might have given him something, maybe? I don't know. Spitballing. Maybe I just need to see more of the giant anglerfish hamster that I love. Tite Kubo does a great job of ramping up the tension during this test. You can almost feel the panic and hopelessness coming off the page as Ichigo's hollow mask starts to complete. The only hope we have is Urahara explaining that there's still a chance for him to become a Soul Reaper. When Ichigo emerges from the pit, he's in his Soul Reaper robes, but he's also wearing the hollow mask. It's an incredible visual, but worth noting is just how shocked everyone is by what he's done. He was apparently really close to being fully transformed into a hollow. Thankfully, he became a Soul Reaper just before, however his Zanpakuto is still just a hilt, but the third trial should hopefully remedy that. The third part of the test seems like it should be easy. Ichigo just has to knock off Urahara's hat, but as it turns out, Urahara's got a few hidden secrets. I'm a sucker for a good sword hidden inside of a cane. My favorite character in One Piece also happens to have one of those. Urahara reveals that he had a Zanpakuto of his own. I love that an intriguing character who seems pretty mellow and down to earth has obviously got some secrets hidden underneath his hat. When Ichigo finally speaks the name of his sword out loud, Zangetsu, he's able to tap into a power that he didn't have before, and his blade takes a new shape. While I loved the original sword he had, I like how unruly this one looks. There's no hilt, and it looks more like a large knife than a traditional sword. It seems sleeker, yet somehow wilder too. Best of all, we see that the attack he used to knock Urahara's hat off, past the test, also left some damage to the landscape, something that even his teacher is surprised by. It's immediately clear that this is a whole new plateau of power for Ichigo, and it's exciting to know that he's preparing for a situation where he's going to need every last drop of it. As far as the rest of these chapters, Ichigo's friends also get some training. Suichi the cat is training Orihime and Chad, while Uryu opens up a mysterious box connected to his Quincy powers. There was nothing that really caught my attention here besides more of the talking cat. I love talking black cats that help guide you through supernatural phenomena. But honestly, Kubo did a great job of setting all these characters up as the rescue team, and while their training wasn't shown in the same depths as Ichigo's was, I'm happy that he's going to have help as they enter the Soul Society and begin their mission to save Rukia. Training is so important in shonen stories. It gives our characters a chance to grow, to overcome their individual challenges, and become stronger as a result. Hopefully, strong enough for whatever challenges and whatever fights lie ahead. And so, now we can make the journey into an arc that I had heard about for years before actually starting the story. The fabled Soul Society arc. Sorry for the delay on this video, guys. It's been kind of a crazy few months, but I'm continuing my journey into Bleach. Very excited about it. Hope you stick around. And if you want, please comment, subscribe, let me know what you're thinking so far. Please no spoilers in the comments. Yeah, follow me on my social media. I'll see you guys sooner, much sooner than this video came out between videos. I promise.